Hey guys, it's Mike with another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Today we got a little bit of a fun one. We're going to compare 3 of the top ranked single target damage dealers and see how they compete with each other. So we're going to take a look at Caliburn Arthur, we're going to look at Bedivere, and we're going to look at Iweret, specifically looking at their A2s, and then we'll also specifically look at their A3s and try to get some information on them. But we're going to take them into the same fight with the same team with the same gear and see exactly which one of them is performing the best. The caveat here is my Betivere is Chivalry level 3, whereas the other 2 are Chivalry level 6. So let's look at the chivalries that Bedivere does not have so we can take that into account as we kind of pay attention to what's going on. So the first thing he's going to do is get an additional 5% of ignored defense on that 4th chivalry. On the 5th chivalry, he's getting extra attack percentage, and on the 6th chivalry. So just bear that in mind as we compare the two to see that he would do more damage than he is doing. Outside of that, what we're going to do, we have all of them completely maxed out as far as their attack stats, their passives, as well as their relic. And then their relics are fully awakened on 6-star 60, and that's true for Iweret. That's true for Caliburn Arthur. So we're trying to do our best to compare apples to apples here. The only difference between all of them is Iweret and Caliburn Arthur are on level 66 because of the Chivalry level 6. Plus they have those extra 6 or those extra 3 chivalries. Bedivere's on level 63, so he's missing out on a few stats, and he doesn't have those chivalries. But in order to continue to compare apples to apples, what we're going to do is we're going to take all the keepsakes off the 3 champions, and we're going to move the exact same gear set between all 3 of them. And that way we can really do our best to just kind of see who is doing the best job. So we're going to start with Caliburn Arthur. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if he is on your team, you will probably be using his leader ability, which I think we have to give him credit for as a damage dealer. Likewise with Bedivere, he has a leader ability that gives you extra attack, so we're going to give him that credit as well. Unlike Iweret, who has a defensive ability that's only available in some locations, so that is just something to keep in mind as far as the difference they're bringing to their kit. But it is part of their kit, so I feel like we have to give them credit for it. But we're going to start with Caliburn Arthur here, jumping into Cromcroc. Cromcroc is neutral, so affinity doesn't matter. Everybody's going to have the same opportunity here, and we're going to start the battle. And we're going to go through utilizing, basically took it off auto here. So we can go in here and utilize Arthur's A2. We're going to do Nika's A3, Morgan's A2, and Guinevere is just there so they don't get eaten with her A1. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to go ahead and take it down to, we'll go down to 2 times speed, and then we'll run it here just to kind of get a feel for what's going on. So here's Arthur in his first A2. He did 87,000 damage. I'm going to jot this down as it goes. On this A2, he's only going to hit 1 time, did 9,100 with no buffs on at all. Coming back in for that A2 with the extra 5 hits, he did 91,000 in damage. And you can see the buffs are stacking up. This should be fairly consistent across the board for each of them. I'm thinking Arthur way out there in the no man's land. I missed it. I was watching him way out there, but he didn't hit very hard, that's for sure. I'll go back and watch the video and see. And then on this hit here, he should kill Cromcroc, and he's done in 5 hits. And that was for 47,000, but I don't think it gave him credit for all the extras because Cromcroc was dead. So one thing we're going to have to keep in mind is because of the way that his A2 works, every other time he's going to hit for a lot. That was 13K. So we're going to have to kind of average it to get a feel for what he's actually doing. So that was 45,000 on that hit there. And I don't have enough stamina on the account, so we're going to have to just kind of call it quits when we think it's about done. And he might surprise me and just kill him all at one time. But we're going to go into here. We got those up. This should be a 1 hit for 35,000. That's another thing for Arthur's kit that's a little bit rough is he actually gains power as the battle goes on. So theoretically, he'll do more damage over time. That's 81K on that one. And we're going to go ahead and pause it right there because at this point, Arthur is probably 1 or 2 turns away from killing Cromcroc. We're going to say probably 2 turns because he's going to need to get his Stygian Aura back because he just used it. So we're going to say +2. So with that, Arthur is going to get through Cromcroc as he's currently geared with an 11 hits total. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to exit out of this. We're going to bring in Bedivere and get Arthur's gear on Bedivere and then see how he does. And I'm thinking with Bedivere, what we'll do, we got him moved over into Arthur's equipment here, so he's got all the same exact gear. We're going to leave him with this Pierce banner on to compensate for the fact that he is 3 levels behind and 3 levels down on Chivalry. I don't know if that's going to be exactly apples to apples, but I think it'll be a lot closer than if we were to take it off of him. So that should be kind of close to what he's got going on there. With that Chivalry, he's gaining an extra 5% Pierce basically by ignoring defense, and then he's also getting 30% attack power plus the added base stats for leveling him up 3 times. So we're going to say that's hopefully similar to what's going on here, but we're going to leave that particular banner on Bedivere to give him the best opportunity to impress us here. Same exact team coming into it, so we're going to go ahead and start the battle. And in here we are going to rock his A2 and do everything exactly the same as we did Arthur. So with Bedivere's first hit, we were putting up 76,000, which is actually pretty strong. It's a little bit less than Arthur with his Stygian Aura. He did 87,000 on his first hit. But I believe Bedivere is actually going to be a little more consistent. He won't have quite as many variables in his hit. 36k on that. On his second hit there, we'll see about his third coming in here. Try to make sure I don't miss it this time, so I don't have to go back and look up and research what happened with Arthur on his fourth hit. Here we go, 52 and 76. We'll give him 77. I'm going to round that one up. 7k. It was 76.9. Figure, you know, hey, we'll give him credit. And so he is actually going to take out Cromcroc in 4 hits. He's running way out there too. 25,000. Oh man, 25k. So he didn't quite do it, but with the help, he got it in 4 hits instead of 5 that it took Caliburn Arthur to do. So we're going to go into here. We're going to focus all of our attention right here on the boss. And oh nope, we got Guinevere's going. Here comes Bedivere with that gear set on. He did 21, 45,000 on his next hit here. We're gonna see what we get here. I apologize if the video's a little choppy. I'm trying to pay close to 50,000 there. Trying to pay close attention to it, so I'm kind of trying to have a lot of edits probably coming in here. But I ultimately want to I want the best information I can get on who is actually my best damage dealer, and I feel like that information can be helpful for you guys as well. So here we go with his third hit on the second wave of Cromcroc, 21 and 59,000. The other thing to consider with Bedivere is his secondary hit is random. So if there's multiple targets, he might not, like he probably hit on the second hit, he might have hit the jaw, or he might have hit some other piece, or the eyeball, or whatever is secondary. So it makes it kind of tough for him to do damage to the same target. We did get 1 there, which is kind of silly. Hopefully we get some debuffs back from Morgan to help him out. Well, we got some on there, but they fell off immediately. So we got 25 and 38,000. 50. Oh, all right, perfect. So we did 50,000 on that last hit. Dang, that was close. I literally don't have enough stamina to run this again, so I'd have to wait until I accrued it. So 50k and then +1 turns. So he's also looking at getting through Cromcroc in 11 turns. But he did have the one area where he did 1 damage because Cromcroc was kind of invincible. Whereas Arthur's turn didn't actually have that. So potentially he could have got through earlier if we could have avoided that particular RNG. Alright, so we got all that gear moved over to Iweret. It's $10,000 a piece because I'm taking 1 piece off and putting 1 piece off. 5,000 each for 6-star equipment. So kind of blowing through a little bit of gold here. But I think it's going to be good information to have. So we got Iweret decked out with the same exact gear set. So we're going to go back in there and see how Iweret does compared to Arthur and Betivere. With Iweret, I did put Nika in the lead spot because her lead ability is not here. Trying to, again, give her the benefit of the doubt as far as you would be running her with some sort of lead ability. I don't think Nika's actually going to add a lot of damage because it's just HP addition. But depending on the team she's running in, she might actually get additional attack. It just kind of depends on what team you're running her with. But we're going to go ahead and go with this guy here and see how she does. All right, so we're going to come in here with Iweret. We've got her on her A2. That's her single target ability. So everything's going to be exactly the same as what we had going on with the other two. We're going to try to keep track. Now, Iweret does have a secondary hit ability. That I think when there's mark on the enemy, she strips it and does additional damage. So we just got to kind of pay attention to that. So that's 44,000 right there. And then her second ability is going to do an additional 30k. Plus 30, but that only counts as one turn for her, so that's going to be kind of a benefit in that space. So we're going to say that essentially that's going to be a $74,000 or 74,000 point hit. So here we go again. We've got 15k on that, and she did not do additional damage that time. So hopefully we got the additional damage coming in this time around. All right, so here she goes again. We've got 22,000, and she is going again. 22 plus 12, 5,300 is boo-boo. 5,300 and an additional 24. Okay, that's better. 3 turns. This is her 4th turn on Cromcroc. 24k, and that's it. No additional. And here comes her 5th hit here. And we've got 29 and he's dead. So 29k, and that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was actually her 6th. Her 6th hit to get through the first wave. Now let's take a peek. We're going to click on Cromcroc just to make sure we're doing all the right things here. And then we'll see how Iweret does. First shot is 6,000. 6,000 plus 10. All right, well, that's something. All right, let's see how she does. I guess we didn't have a lot of debuffs from Morgan up yet. So there's our defense down and additional damage taken. So that should help out Iweret on the next one here. Get 2 turns in a row. What's going on here? All right, here we go. We got 2235 and no additional damage. And here she's coming in for a 3rd hit. We got 4061 on that guy. Additional damage, 61. Okay, no additional damage. Oh, here we go with some additional damage. We got 1241 plus 41. She is, it's crazy how much her hits vary. We're going to actually have to pause this because she could kill him next time. And I'm going to run out of energy. So we're going to say chances are that's going to take her at least 2 more turns. So we're going to say plus 2 turns in order to kill Cromcroc there. Although she's going to hit that single damage. So this might actually be 3 turns. But we're going to have to add 1 to Arthur's if that's the case too, because I think his probably would have run into this kind of situation where he's hitting for 1 damage. All right, so if you allowed me to geek out just a little bit, jumped into Excel, put a little spreadsheet together. We got all the damage. I went back in. The damage from Arthur I missed was 13,000. We basically took all that out, showed how many turns it would take to defeat Cromcroc, which was 12, 11, and 12. And then we averaged the damage across all of the attacks that we did. So the average damage that Arthur was doing was about 47,000 basically. The average damage from Betivere is 50, and the average damage from Iweret was 36. Now again, this is all on single target. And the one thing to consider on Betivere's side is that secondary hit can be random, so it may not have finished in 11 turns every time. If that second hit would have gone to the jaw or something like that, potentially it would have taken an extra turn for that to actually take place. The other thing too is kind of a variable is we do have that banner, and the pierce function on the banner may actually work dramatically better than the 3 chivalries that he's missing. I think it's going to be fairly comparable, but that's just something to keep in mind as well. So, but surprisingly enough, Bedivere, I feel like, came out in front, at least for single target damage. The other thing to keep in mind is the longer the battle goes on, Arthur should be hitting stronger and stronger every single time because of the way his kit works. So he's probably, if you're going into like Hall of Conquerors or something where it's going to be a very long battle, this number is going to creep up and up and up, whereas Bedivere's will stay the same. So in those longer battles, I think Arthur's definitely going to take the cake. But in these shorter kind of interim battles, 12 turns or less, it's probably fairly comparable, and Bedivere might actually have an edge. But from here, we're going to switch it up and actually do the AoE and just kind of get a feel for how each of their AoEs is working in the same space. If I were smart, I would have done this at the same time, so I don't have to switch the gear back and forth. But seeing how I'm not smart, we get to spend extra gold moving stuff around. But before we do that, we're actually going to go straight to Iweret because she's the one that's holding all the gear right now, and we're going to do her first with her AoE ability. We're going to go back into the skill orders here. We're going to switch it up into Iweret to her A3. With Nika on the team, we should be able to rock this A3 every time. Shouldn't be an issue, but we're going to go ahead and go this route and then see how this goes. So on her first turn here, she's going to do her A3. She did 19,000, and then she does her extra 14 as well. So that's kind of interesting because I think that's part of her passive skill with pulling mark and doing extra damage. We'll have to pay attention to the each time that happens. So here we go again. We got 7,100, no extra damage. So 7,100 on that second turn. And we'll cycle back around. Some of these animations take a little bit of time. Like Nika with all the extra stuff on her heal, it just kind of takes a lot of extra time. Here's our third hit. We got 9,700. We do get an extra piece for 1314. So 9,700 plus 14k. So this is going to take significantly more time, but that's okay. We're kind of just getting a feel for how they're working with that with the AoE damage. Yeah. Here we go again. We got 18, and that was it. Okay, 18k and 26k. Do we get anything extra? Yep, 26 plus 21. On this one, I think we're going to go just through the first version of Cromcroc because then it'll start getting into his eyes and there'll be extra enemies which might affect the damage a little bit. But we got another 9,300. Anything extra? No. All right, 9,300. And here she goes again. We've got 18,000. Should get extra hits this time. Did not. I don't know if maybe she didn't have marked up, but it seemed like every other turn she was getting it. And on her next turn here, in fact, Nika might, oh no, Nika's. So that went ahead and wrapped up Cromcroc stage 1. We're going to go ahead and jump back into Betivere, put all the gear back on him, and see how he does. All right, so we got that gear over on Betivere here, and we're going to go into the same thing. All right, so we're going to jump in here and make sure we got Betivere dialed in with his A3 going this time. And we're going to keep a close eye on what's going on here. We've got the auto on 2 times. So on his first hit here, he's doing 23,000, 35,000 total right there. I don't remember if the worms popped up for Iweret or not, but it's definitely going to add to the AoE damage that Bedivere is going to do. Actually, they just died, so it doesn't matter. 6,700. Kind of sad. A little sad on that one. I don't think there's any debuffs up. So that could be what's going on there. Here we go with some, we got the debuffs back up. We're back and we're hitting for 28 and 63. All right, that's a pretty solid hit. It's kind of funny to see that huge variation between 6,700 and 63,000. Nika better get some heals on here. I'm not sure how to equate it if he ends up dying. That's not what we're trying to test at all. So theoretically, this team should keep them all alive the same, but we got 29,000 on that one. All right, here we go again. We got 13,000 plus, or we got a little more, so 20,000 on that one. And yeah, we probably need some debuffs up in order to get through them in one more turn. Might take an additional 2 turns. There's the debuffs though. So here we go. We got 33,000. And not quite. So 33k, and we're going to have to hit one more time, although I think Nika's going to wrap it up. So they're kind of the same thing that happened with Iweret there. All right, so we moved all the equipment back over to Caliburn Arthur. This is the equipment that he started with, so we'll have to figure out what Iweret and Bedivere were wearing before. Make sure we don't get them mixed up. I don't know that it really matters. But we'll jump in here and get him on his A3 and see what we learn from that. All right, so his first A3, we're going to do 22,000 in damage there. And up there, so it came up to 70,000. Because he still does get the Stygian aura with the AoE damage. So it's probably going to be a pretty unfair advantage for him. 13,000 on that one. So here we go again. Probably getting the Stygian aura. 25,000, 85,000. Oh man, that was a big hit. 85. And that's where he starts stacking up his abilities and start doing a little more damage. This one's a little rough though, because it's like that Stygian aura is truly not going to be AoE damage. Once he does his AoE hit, that's going to be it. And then he's going to single target the rest of it. So 8,300's no good. No good, Arthur. We need better than that. So that is going to be kind of an interesting thing. So in a true AoE setting, like a Pedarge or something like that, that's a lot of the damage he did. I think 50,000 of the 80,000 was actually Stygian ore. So that got to 47 before it capped it out. So coming back to geek out a little bit on the A3, we got Caliburn Arthur averaging 44,000 damage and killing the wave 1 in 5 hits. Betivere was averaging 31,000, killed it in 6 hits, and Iweret was averaging 22, killing the wave in 7. The interesting part is all 3 of these heroes have a secondary attack that takes place after the initial AoE attack. Bedivere's is, I think he attacks 2 additional times random enemies. So in this case, there's not additional enemies. So he went and attacked the Cromcroc 2 additional times. With Caliburn Arthur, he's going to attack 1 additional enemy 5 times. So if he does his AoE ability, he'll target 1 enemy an additional 5 times. So in a true AoE situation with like Pedarge or something like that, where you have the sirens going, it'll do extended damage to 1 of the characters, but not all of them. Likewise with Bedivere, it'll spread it out over 2 random ones. And then Iweret pulls the marked off and does the additional damage as well. So they all kind of have that aspect to their kit. But in this particular case, I think Caliburn Arthur did hands down do the most damage. Now that being said, when we go into Hall of Conquerors and we go through those RNG, you see that landing an extra debuff here or there can really make a huge difference. So looking at these 2 together, Bedivere and Caliburn Arthur, I do kind of feel like they are pretty much neck and neck. Again, it's kind of hard to say with Bedivere not having those 3 chivalries, but he did have the extra Pierce banner on, so hopefully that equalized him out a little bit. But it seems to me that the longer the fight goes on, definitely Caliburn Arthur is going to be the primary damage dealer. And I would say Bedivere is still probably going to be a better choice than Iweret as far as overall damage dealer goes. So hopefully you found that interesting. I gotta say, at the end of the day, I do think Caliburn Arthur is probably going to be the best damage dealer in the game. But that being said, in certain areas, it might be beneficial to have somebody else. Also good to have a damage dealer that's positive affinity for whatever it is you're working on. And seeing how Caliburn Arthur is only available with the Flame Relic, unless you're fortunate enough to have gotten his Storm or Frost. Yeah, I mean, you're really going to probably need Bedivere as well as Iweret or some of the other damage dealers to compensate for that positive affinity when it comes around. I did also want to touch base. They moved the your total count thing right up here, so it tells you how many pieces you have available instead of down here, which now that I know it's up there, it's fine. I kind of liked it down here a little better. The other thing that I was running into is trying to get the upgrade materials for engraving has been a little bit challenging. So if you come in, you're like trying to find where you can actually do it. If you come in here and actually want to stat engrave, you can click on this and go source info and go to dismantle. I haven't been able to find out how you get here otherwise, but from here you can actually go through and sort exactly what you want and go and select it and put in there and dismantle quantities at a time. The only other space I found for this was actually if you go into the item bag, and this seems like super dangerous. If you come into here, you can go dismantle all, but you definitely don't want to do that because it's going to be everything that's in your item bag, so all of your 6-star stuff and so forth. So that was the best way I could find to actually get in there and get those materials. So I thought I'd share that with you just in case you're struggling to find it. Maybe there's a better way. If you know a better way, let me know in the comments below. I just haven't been able to find one. But let's jump into our item bag, see what we have today. We do have 10 more of these guys, so we'll go ahead and get these on the account, see who we get. A couple onesies, twosies across the board. There's pretty good. Let's see if we can get lucky and get a legendary out of these guys. Only 6 of them there. Oh, we did. We actually got a Gillian. That's awesome. We also got Isold. These guys are all tokens, but that is going to be an extra chivalry for Gillian there, so we'll go check that out. Let's see if we can get lucky on the relics as well. I do feel like that's one of the most underwhelming ways to get a legendary because it doesn't really have any hype at all. It's just all of a sudden, boop, they're on your account. So on the special summons here, we just reset pity. So we're going to go ahead and pull these 20, see if we can get anything lucky on the account. Still looking for the same wish list as we haven't hit the necessary levels that we're looking to get to. Morgan, we're trying to get to level 9. Iweret, we're trying to get to level 8. And then those are all tokens there, so that's pretty good. And then technically, we probably are about where we wanted to get for Brennan. I wanted to get to Chivalry level 4. Not lucky this time. That's okay. But we got 3 rares. And then the other one, Saris, we have a long way to go to get to Chivalry level 8. So that's going to be an opportunity there. But again, more tokens for the shard shops. Let's jump in there and see what we got going on. So we've got 1 Sarah here, 1 Ralph. So we're just waiting for those extras there. 800. So we're at 4,500 in those guys there. So kind of making some headway. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here, and we're going to go ahead and exchange those guys out for 2,000. If we do happen to be able to get to 52,500, Merlin Storm Relic in here is one that I'd like to pick up if I can. As far as Gillian here, I think I have all of her relics already, so not really necessary to pick that one up there. Let's jump over into Chivalries and see what Gillian's Chivalry has to offer here. We're going to get recovery plus 10%. So that's going to help her do much more solid heals. That puts her on Chivalry level 2. So that is that's a big win. I wasn't expecting it at all. So it's kind of nice when one of those pop up and you get a little bit extra on the account. So I think that's about what I got for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me all the way to the end. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. It means the world to me. And we are still looking for some players at MikeGoG in our clan. If you're an active player and want to play along with us, we'd love to have you. Outside of that, I look forward to seeing you next time.